Hello and welcome to Strife Defense Dialogue. I am your host, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia, and I am so very happy that Major General Harsh Kakar, a senior member of Strife, has joined us for today's discussion. Welcome to
Hi,
the
Rakesh.
show, sir.
Thank you. A pleasure always being here. In fact, if I'm not on the show, I'm watching it.
That's very nice, sir. Sir, you've been writing recently in fact, you've been writing for quite some time, and recently I went through two articles which I found were very, very interesting. So, we will focus our today's discussion regarding these two articles. The first one was regarding Indian labor for Taiwan. How is that hurt China? And second is that we have started openly talking about China, that what is China doing to us and how we need to improve our defensive capability. In your article, you have said that though economically we may not be able to match them, but in defense we are coming very close to removing the asymmetry. Sir, before we I hand over the stage to you, I would like to show a small little presentation so that I put the things in context. So there's a very small development which says that approximately 100,000 Indian skilled workers are likely to go to Taiwan, and rather they have gone to Taiwan. And like Deng said, this is a statement of fact. But what is the truth that lies behind it? What messaging has this particular act done for China, both from Taiwan perspective and from India's perspective? So today's discussion, we would seek this truth. Now, Taiwan is a very peculiar country which depends on America for its defense and China for its growth. So it works well when the relation between the US and China is good. But of late, as we have seen, there are issues between the two countries. Below is the statistics that are given about the foreign direct investment of Taiwan into the mainland. As you see, it has dropped down drastically from what it was in 2018. It was 8.5 billion US dollars. From there, it has come down to 3.04. Earlier, that is 2015, 42% of the investment of Taiwanese was in mainland, and now only 5% remains. Now, very briefly about Taiwan. Taiwan is formal, it has formal diplomatic relations with only 11 United Nations members. Now, this was the news, though we don't maintain diplomatic relations with Taiwan, but we have pledged labor there. Now, as far as India is concerned, we don't have embassy in each other's country, but there is Indian Taipei Association in Delhi, which is to promote economic, commercial, cultural, scientific, and people-to-people exchange. But important thing is it provides consular and passport services also. And our counterpart in India is Taipei Economic and Cultural Center, which is in New Delhi. Now, if we compare the two countries, now Taiwan is primarily in stage three economy. Now, what is stage three economy? Is a higher tier growth, which is innovation driven, whereas India is still in stage one, which is primarily provides unskilled labor and natural resources driven economy. So, while Taiwan needed skilled laborers, we had the capacity to send it. So, going by this premise, sir, now my question to you is, sir, by this one act, have we challenged the one China policy of what China wants us to follow? Is it the beginning of going against the one China policy which we have been professing, sir? Over to you, sir.
Rakesh, what you said, I want to put a bit more in context before I come to that. The agreement is the Migration and Mobility Agreement. This will involve a total of about 1 lakh workers who are going to go there. to ensure that the Indian worker is catered for, his pay package will be equivalent to what they're paying their own labor, as also insurance is being put in. Now, initially, there were reports that the first lot that they're going to look for is from the Northeast. The reason was more of, common ethnicity, religion, and the rest of it. Then the Taiwanese labor minister, Hu Ming Chun, apologized and said, no, that's not the case. Now, let's face it, there is racism in Taiwan. It's there across the world. We have it in India. So why
Yeah.
are we looking at it and complaining about it elsewhere? It's across the world. The second factor is you are initially looking to make the first lot comfortable.
Yeah.
It is only then that the rest are going to come. You are looking for skilled and semi-skilled labor, which the government of India is trying to make India into a country. After all, our population, we have the largest youth population in the world. So we are looking at making the country a base for skilled and semi-skilled labor, which the world needs. We already have an agreement with Israel, which the PM signed last year when he went there in May, for 42,000 labor. It has now gone up to over a lakh. Since the war began, the first 6,000 have already gone. 18,000 Indians are already there in Israel, either working or studying.
Correct.
So basically, what we are doing is we're looking at expanding. Now, Taiwan in particular is a very different scenario. India and Taiwan have a lot of ties. To make it even more better, the head of Foxconn was
Yes.
sort of given the Padma Bhushan this year,
Yes.
announced. Of course, it's going to be given shortly. Now, by doing that, you are already projecting that you're recognizing Taiwan as a separate entity. Now you're signing the labor deal. Now, by signing the labor deal, remember, China always believed it has the first lane on Taiwan.
Yes.
So if Taiwan wants something, they should come to China.
In fact, they call it the
Yeah,
23rd province of theirs.
but that is what they're talking of. And in this year's budget speech, or in the parliament
Yes.
speech in China, they have removed the word peaceful reunification.
Correct.
Right? So for China, Indians going into Taiwan, India, China already on a rift, China, Taiwan already on a lift. Your enemy is my friend, is
Correct.
exactly what is the policy that's being displayed. Now, officially, there is no mention. You haven't enhanced ties.
Yes.
Taiwanese chip manufacturers are setting up in India. Foxconn has already set up iPhone manufacturing in India. They've got a plant in Tamil Nadu. They're setting up a second plant.
Another one.
Chip manufacturing is going to come to India. So, as it is, the current Taiwan policy is the new southbound policy, which is what you showed is when the investments are being pulled out of
Yes.
China and moving to other countries. Why India? India is the best place to invest. Labor, skill, government support, the works is coming in.
I,
And,
I, I would,
and the
sorry, sir.
biggest thing is the market. Now, India Taiwan business agreement,
Yeah.
larger expansion, movement of labor. You're not saying a word, but you are conveying a message
Yes.
that the one China policy on ground does not exist. And you've heard China where it comes down to the labor. Now, I'm just going to read out to you the propaganda which China started. After all, the Chinese Weibo is also available in Taiwan.
Yes.
Chinese news portals are being read in Taiwan.
Hmm.
So, to try and create the India Taiwan rift, the amount of games that China played, I'm just going to read out a few comments which
Yeah.
were there in various Chinese propaganda. On ChinaNews.com, will 100,000 Indians flock to Taiwan? Taiwan authorities confirm the introduction of Indian migrant workers, sparking opposition on the island.
Yeah.
Right? DPP officials were busy refuting rumors.
Hmm.
Then there are comments. Taiwan plans to introduce 100,000 workers. Taiwanese people are warned a sexual assault case of
Yes.
Indian workers has just occurred in Singapore.
Correct.
Right? Women in Taiwan province should try not to go out at night.
Hmm.
Then Indian workers are sent to Taiwan just like African workers and Asian workers were sent to the Americas in modern times.
Yes.
The move has caused Taiwanese people to worry about safety issues, and some groups will even launch a demonstration. Most of this is not flowing from Taiwan, it's flowing from China,
Yes.
seeking to create anger within Taiwan.
Hmm.
But the Taiwanese government have handled it very well. They've cleared all doubts, they've removed all fears, and the message that has gone from India is absolutely clear. The one China policy is now almost near the dustbin.
Yes. Agree with you. Sir, I would like to add what you have said, sir. Now, what happens is that as it is, the world is pulling out of China as far as manufacturing is concerned. The labor is not so cheap as it used to be. Now, in Southeast Asian countries, also there is availability. But the problem of Taiwan probably is that there is lot of pressure which China can put on Southeast Asian countries because of the trade one sided. But if Taiwan does it with India, so that sort of pressure India can withstand because India is not so worried about the trade relationship or with China. And as of now, we have the skilled labor and the labor is not costly also. So both
See,
ways it is.
what you're saying is right. Add another factor. Most of the nations in Southeast Asia, apart from having a very high trade deficit with China,
China.
are also having problems in the South China Sea.
Correct.
Now, the pressure that can go on them is vastly different from the pressure that can come on India.
Correct.
Today, India has the strength and the ability to hold the Chinese at bay. You can see that from the recent statements that have been made across the Indian platform. Right. Secondly, there is no way China can apply the type of pressure it's applying on the Southeast Asian nations on India.
Correct.
That is another change. Now, all this gives the Taiwanese confidence. The third factor is Taiwan's dependency with the US.
Yes.
US industries are opening up in India. A whole lot of defense industries, whole lot of manufacturing concerns. If they are doing it, Taiwan US link, you always feel it's safer and better in India.
Correct.
The other factor is the stability of democracy in India.
Yes.
It means
Continuity.
that what
Continuity of
you set up
policies.
will continue.
Correct.
Right. So there is no doubt that these things are there. And as far as issues in terms of racism or in terms of comments, for everything, there will be a group that will object. There is currently, even in Taiwan, a pro-China group. After all, out of the two political parties that fought the election,
Correct.
one is pro-China, one is
No.
pro-independence.
Correct.
So those who are pro-China will object. They will keep complaining and they will keep saying that this is a wrong move. But the one which is pro-independence is going to continue saying that this is the right move and we must go ahead with this, and that is what they're doing because they are in power today. Had the
Yes.
pro-China group come into power, this agreement would never have been signed.
क्युमनथांग
So
पार्टी आने से नहीं होना था सर.
that is one aspect which is very clear, that the agreements come in, and within a country, when you have different political groups with different policies, one side is bound to feel offended because they are pro China and they know the impact of Indian labor coming into Taiwan. The fact is, if Taiwan economy is to continue with an aging population, with lesser people available, and with very low birth rates, Taiwan, if it doesn't get in labor from outside, the
It cannot
Taiwanese
survive.
economy is going to go down. So if they have to survive, they have to get them in. Today, they're getting them in from Philippines, from Vietnam, from Indonesia. But they realize, and they're also aware of what Indian labor is capable of. We are the ones who've actually literally built up the Middle East.
Yes.
Whether it's Saudi, whether it's Kuwait, whether
Correct.
it's Abu Dhabi, whether it's anything that's it.
Yes.
We are the ones who've done it. So therefore, it's natural. And with Israel coming to India, Israel could have gone anywhere. The fact is, Israel's come to India for it. So it's known what we can do.
Sir, is it in a way, you mentioned about Israel, is it in a way that earlier we used to always have an hyphenated, approach towards Israel, Palestine, or we used to prefer Palestine rather. So now we have made both of them separate. On terrorism, we are criticizing the happenings in Gaza, but we are also providing them the aid, and we are also supporting Israel on terrorism. That anything. Similarly, as far as Taiwan is concerned, we are dealing with Taiwan independent of China now. Do you
Absolutely.
appreciate this? Do you appreciate this approach now, sir?
Excellent. But the only difference that you notice between India and the US approach, you will not find a very senior Indian leader, whether it's the foreign minister or anyone of that level, visiting Taiwan. Right? Yes, they will meet when they meet at world forums, whether it's the Munich conference or wherever they are. They will definitely meet. But a visit to Taiwan, you will not find that on the cards only because you've conveyed your message
Yeah.
and you've left it at that. You have the Indian representative there who is as good as an
As
ambassador.
an
That is his
ambassador.
level
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in both countries. But you have left it at that, but you have not gone and really poked the fire to instigate affairs.
Do you see it as the beginning of towards ultimately, bindas karne ke liye ki we will go ahead?
I don't think we will see that in the near future. I don't think so, because you are still looking at balancing. You've conveyed what you want to convey. Everything need not absolutely come out as a rift or as a conflict. Messaging in diplomacy is good enough, and I think you've conveyed the right message.
Right. Sir, my next question to you is Taiwan is important to us from the military point of view, also as far as sharing of intelligence, capability of Chinese interpreting the Chinese language. As they are the same ethnic Hans who are staying in Taiwan. And the US has been using Taiwan in a big way to find out what exactly is the mainland doing. The surveillance is going on, we all know. There is also signal intercepting stations which are located in Taiwan where they're monitoring all the signals. I mean, if US is providing it, there's no question that they are not doing it. Now, since Taiwanese and mainland, they are same people, they understand the psyche well, and we have a problem as far as learning Chinese language is concerned. Do you think, sir, in future, uh, this is also clear that a lot of MIT University and all are getting Taiwanese professors to teach Chinese language with us. So, how will it impact our ability to understand the Chinese mindset better by increasing our cooperation with Taiwan?
Last year, in August, the three ex service chiefs were there in Taiwan
Correct, sir.
for the Ketagalan Dialogue, which is an event which is conducted by it's like the Raisina Dialogue, conducted by the government and a think tank. What China noticed it, it was evident. Three service chiefs landing up there with an ex-raw chief. There's a hell of a
And they
lot of mess.
recently and they recently retired. They are not one of those
And,
old.
and all three recently retired. Now, what you are conveying there very clearly is that your problems and our problems are linked. And Admiral Karambir, I'm going to just, I'll have to refer to it for a second. Admiral Karambir, he said, in the event a conflict breaks out in the Taiwan Strait, it will certainly not be contained within the straits, and we will have serious geopolitical and economic consequences globally.
Yes,
And to my mind, much more serious than the effects of the Ukraine war.
correct.
Evidently, the message that was there was a conflict between China and Taiwan is bound to have an impact on India. After all, Chinese forces concentration. The message also is possibly would have been discussed is can the two combine?
Yeah.
In case Taiwan is being attacked, can India do something on its own front? Can it be the reverse? Whether what flowed or not, this is only an individual perception. It is nothing which was there. But definitely, with this sort of a level of attendance, it couldn't have been without the government of India approval. You are sending that message that we are looking at things jointly. And when they had a closed door meeting with the think tank and possibly members of the government, what happened? Nobody knows. But there would have been a discussion in terms of sharing, in terms of working together to decipher the Chinese intent, the Chinese threat, and how do we read it.
सर आई ऑलवेज ड्रॉ ए कंपैरिजन कि अगर आपको पाकिस्तान के बारे में कोई खबर चाहिए तो इंडियंस आर द बेस्ट सिमिलरली अगर चाइना के बारे में चाहिए तो देयर इज नो बेटर रिसोर्स अवेलेबल देन ताइवान.
Naturally, because you see, I mean, the inputs are so close. After all, the Taiwanese with investments in China are moving in and out.
Yes.
There is a lot of linkages.
Yeah. Correct.
Despite the government being anti-China, people to people linkages are a lot.
No, there are intermarriages between mainland and
Yes,
Taiwan, sir. The boys and
yes,
girls are married in
yes,
each
yes.
other. In fact, if
Correct.
you see the number of flights which take off from Fujian
Ah,
to Taipei, I mean they're huge
the fact
numbers.
is, the fact is, Taiwan has never ever been a part of China, but China wants it because the lot which is in Taiwan today are those who fled the mainland in '49, and that's how they established.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sir, very quickly, sir, your article which was published today, it mentions about एक टाइम था सर जब हम सड़क भी बनाने से कि चाइना की तरफ सड़क ना बनाइए. द फियर वाज दैट चाइनीज मोमेंट दे क्रॉस द वाटरशेड वो सड़क से सीधा अंदर घुस आएंगे सर. From developing the infrastructure to now sending the appropriate messages across our northern borders, sir. Sir, what are the takeaways from these messages? What do we understand from the recent statements that have been made by the defense secretary, by the foreign minister, by the CDS, sir? Sir, I would like you to cover these aspects for us.
Firstly, it displays absolutely clearly India's confidence.
Absolutely.
The fact earlier you could not make statements in China. And like you said, we never built roads. Today we're going all out in infrastructure.
Yes.
This is the confidence of the Indian government in its ability to stand up to China. Reasons are multiple. First and foremost, as far as the world is concerned, everyone accepts a democracy. Nobody wants an autocracy like China to continue flourishing and expanding.
Correct, sir.
Second, you may not be as strong economically. Your budget is low. Even our defense budget is one third of China. But
Correct,
we
sir.
have to also remember our threats are possibly half of China. Second, the fact that the world has accepted you,
Yes.
world is combining with you to give you inputs. The world is working with you to build up your economy, to build up your military power.
Correct, sir.
That is where the whole difference is coming in terms of the confidence that flows. And in this scenario, when you can speak so openly and criticize China, it shows that the government of India is not worried about Chinese reaction. You are amongst the only few countries which have stalled the Chinese where they are.
Yes.
That gives you added confidence. And it
And
is
oh,
huh.
sir,
And it
please.
is that which is most important, where you are now today able to say to China, friend, you are unacceptable. Your policies are not acceptable. And we
Absolutely.
will not bend. If you let me take you back to about, I think, 2013, when the Chinese intruded into Demchok.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
The foreign minister, then Salman Khurshid, flew into Beijing
Yes.
requesting them. Today it talks. Today we said until you go back, we have no intention of getting ties back to normal. That's it.
And other than local commanders, we haven't raised it, sir.
That's it. Let it be. And China knows it, which is one of the reasons why Xi Jinping didn't come for the G20.
Yes.
Had he come for the G20, there may have been a handshake,
Absolutely.
but there wouldn't have been a one-to-one, which is held with every dignitary who comes into the country. That would have been an embarrassment.
So, in a way, sir, earlier the tactical problems were, made into, national or strategic level. And now we are saying that, okay, it's a tactical problem, border issue.
Let's
Let's
handle it.
resolve at that stage.
Correct. Let's handle it.
That's Sir, I think now we have covered the basics, what we wanted to cover. There are a lot of questions, sir. We
Yeah,
will
please.
go ahead, sir. Of course. Ask, sir, we should not send workers as Taiwan claim line is same as CCP. So I don't see any difference between them. Sir, your views on it. Mr. Raghunandan has asked this question, sir.
See, the fact is that the current government in Taiwan, the one which is being sworn in the next few days, and the government which is currently, are both pro-independence. They're both anti-China, which is one of the reasons why China is threatening to integrate Taiwan. The fact is, our people are there in Israel. Israel-Palestine battle is on. So there's nothing on that difference. The opportunities are good, provides a lot of employment, provides very high salary, which is an excellent sort of means, especially for our skilled and semi-skilled. And the fact is that the government has never left its people behind wherever there's been an issue. So I
The
don't think we should
confidence.
stop. And I don't think we should hesitate on that factor.
Correct, sir. I think next question is on similar lines. Ask question: the level of racism is much higher than Taiwan. Why does Indian government have not taken any action? South Korea, something he is
See, in
probably
all these
mentioned.
countries, there is always racism is not a cross. Racism is with a group. In India, everybody is not a racist.
Absolutely.
There is only a group which believes in it. Now, whenever an incident occurs, you handle it diplomatically. But these incidents are not across the board. And that is a concept which is global. I mean, today you go to the US or you go to Canada, you will face racism. Incidents keep happening
But the fact remains that the apology also came absolutely,
immediately.
quickly. There was no.
Immediately.
But I'm very surprised, sir. They say that Northeast people are the same
See,
religion,
see,
but
the
Taiwan
Northeast
doesn't have
generally,
religion, sir.
no, Taiwanese are generally Christians,
No
so
Christians.
Christianity is there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Northeast also they're looking at Christianity. We have to realize a few facts. You see, the first lot which goes, once that lot settles in, for the balance, it's far more easier because you're building up on that,
Absolutely.
which is natural. Up now, today, when an Indian migrates to Canada, he first goes into an area which is generally
Correct.
occupied by Indians. It
Comfort
is
level.
as he grows, because that is his comfort zone. As he grows financially and as he settles in, will he move out into another area which may not be an Indian dominated area? And that
Absolutely.
is something which happens. I mean, today, the first thing Indians will run into will be Brampton or some other places in Toronto where you have a large Indian community.
Yes.
Subsequently, you shift up. Because I have seen that when I was in Canada on my course. So I had seen that happening. And you'd seen the way people move in, settle in, they move out as they get financially more secure. So the same is the case when you go down to any new place where you are lost.
Absolutely. Sir, like you said, this is the first lot. These people have to go and establish. It's a new thing, new interaction, new country, new
So we have to
culture,
be
new values. So people have to get used to it. Like
correct.
I was reading an article by a Taiwanese scholar, sir. She mentions that fine the skin color is probably in their culture is not a slur. It's just a way of referring. Taiwanese people actually
Today
do
you
not
look,
take it as a negative thing.
today you look at Japan. Japanese are up in arms against migrants.
Absolutely.
And Japan desperately needs migrants. So it is something which is happening almost everywhere. Some
Absolutely.
countries take them by numbers. The US is looking at it as a vote bank.
Yes.
Canada
Absolutely.
needs migrants because without which the economy will not grow. Europe
Yes.
needed it because the economy would not grow. So it is something which the world is looking at.
Absolutely. Sir, we move on, sir. As Taiwan and India both follow defensive war strategy so how can we use necklace of diamond strategy? Basically,
See,
is
the point that is there is we both have defensive because neither of us have got offensive designs. Number one. Number two is there's
correct.
going to be a lot of sharing in terms of input, sharing in terms of capabilities, because Taiwanese monitor the Chinese Navy very well. After all, that is their
Yes.
major concern. They're
Yes.
monitoring the Chinese forces on the East Coast. So we actually would get a lot of inputs. Definitely, there would be. The US is monitoring, Japan is monitoring. So inputs are being shared. And what you are sharing are inputs. Now, for us, we've got a mountainous terrain. Taiwan doesn't have a mountainous terrain, but definitely we know how effective is the PLA.
Yes.
And that is something which we would share. So those are things that are there.
Yes. Jal sir, will Taiwan be willing to stand by Bharat? Of conflict broke on our border, as you stated, we send this message by sending our tri-service chiefs that we are more willing to engage with them. Mr. Jakpreet Batra has
See,
asked this question, sir.
nobody is going to send troops in here to fight with you,
Correct, sir.
neither the US nor anyone. But definitely, what you will get will be inputs. What you would get would be a means to ensure that the Chinese are not able to bring out the full employment. The forces, when Taiwan is under threat, the forces of the Western Theater Command of China will not be pulled out to support those of the on the Taiwanese front. So a lot of issues will come in terms of cooperation of intelligence, in terms of sharing of equipment. We have a lot of commonality in equipment because we also have US equipment, they also have US equipment. Sharing of equipment, imports, sharing of equipment, possibly ammunition, spares, all that will be there.
Correct.
But it may not be. Don't expect them to create a separate front there for us, because we also will not. But we'll keep the pressure on to ensure that additional forces are not moved.
Absolutely. So ask, are the Taiwanese even in a position to have such stances given they have hardly any countries on their side as compared to PRC? Can they shoo away someone like us who has a great utility?
See, while countries may not recognize Taiwan
Yes.
because of the one China policy, it doesn't mean they don't have ties with Taiwan. Complete Europe has got, like India has got, trade delegations in Taiwan. You give it a different name, you call it what you want. All have got their offices in Taiwan. A number of their parliamentarians have visited Taiwan. In fact, I think it was Croatia or Poland, one of these countries where very
Yes.
senior representatives have come. Even from Germany, senior representatives have come. So the relationship with Taiwan is maintained. You've not recognized, I mean, the fact is today, if you establish a diplomatic relation with Taiwan, you have to break it with China.
Hmm.
So therefore, 11 countries don't have diplomatic ties with China, they've got it with Taiwan. But the
Yes.
rest of the world, even the US doesn't have an ambassador in Taiwan. But it's got the network or the relationship with Taiwan as a recognized state continues.
Sir, I would like to share every year, thrice, I think in a year, Taiwanese Defense University, which is there, they invite people from various countries. That includes not the one which are with who have diplomatic ties. Even Indians are invited
Good
there,
point.
where they actually talk about the pitfalls of communism. They also talk about their stand on the Chinese overall. What, how do they view it? And this is a called national development course, if I'm not wrong. So where they and a lot of countries from African countries are there, Latin American countries are there. Then from this island countries in Pacific are there. So it's not that they are not making efforts. And like you very rightly said, sir, you land at Taipei, you will find every nationality being represented there. They are not isolated. They are
I,
not
I,
different. And
I
then
wouldn't.
what, sir? You look at the way Chinese have put a ban after that American
Yeah, Nancy
Nancy.
Pelosi. Nancy
She had,
Pelosi.
sir, क्या बैन लगाया? पाइनएप्पल, बियर, बट चिप पे बैन नहीं लगाया सर. Which is so
They,
they cannot survive without Taiwan, sir.
I wouldn't be surprised if in some time frame we might find that we will have a Taiwanese officer attending the staff college in India and an Indian in Taiwan. Don't be surprised. That will be another firmer message of military to military cooperation.
Sir. So though it's a next question is a repetition, but just flashing it. Ask, sorry, I disagree as CCP and Taiwan claim line in Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh, and it is there in official website, sir. Your views on it? He is
CCP
basically
and
talking
Taiwan.
claim line in Ladakh that basically is talking about Tibet and Xinjiang, sir. That there is no change in what CCP says and what the Taiwanese says.
I would. I mean, if this had really been, that serious an issue, then the three service chiefs wouldn't have gone. But I guess it's possibly an understanding in terms of Taiwan not looking to rock the boat and showing it not as China but as disputed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So next question is from Colonel RP Singh. Indo-Taiwan agreement on labor poses strategic challenge to China. Recent China agreement and cooperation with Maldives challenge in Indian Ocean. Will India stroke China use their ties to counterbalance China stroke India?
See, there's something which we tend to miss out, and I'm actually working on trying to put that down in a piece. With neighbors, especially for a country like India and China, which are huge, powerful, economically and militarily, neighbors will always have that fear of big brother. They will always feel you are looking to dominate. But if you're a little bit away, you're a better option because you're not right next door. If you look at China, China has problems with Taiwan, Philippines, Vietnam, Japan. They're all China's neighbors. The problems are either East China Sea, South China Sea, some issue or the other, literally, including smaller countries like Indonesia and the others. There is always that clash, and Malaysia. So, that whole region, wherever your neighbors, you have that problem. For India, Sri Lanka, at times Nepal comes up. If the government changes in Bangladesh, that'll come up. Maldives comes up. The fear is India is a big brother. Where India is a big brother, they look at China. Today, if you look at Philippines, you look at Vietnam, you look at Taiwan, you look at Japan, they're closer to India. Why? India is away. So that sort of a thing between the big brother and that relationship will continue. Now, in Maldives, currently it's on. We sit and wait. It's not the first time it's happened. It was there earlier, it changed. It was there in Sri Lanka, it changed. Now, the Sri Lankan elections in the latter part of this year will again be fought on a pro India, pro China basis.
Correct.
It is natural because you're neighbors. There is always a fear of the big brother dominating.
Yes. That will always remains.
Always remain.
That you can't actually bring it out because any amount of goodwill gesture somebody else is offering, and then the country is also scared. They don't want to put all their eggs in the same
Rightly
basket.
so. If you look at Nepal today, there is always a fear of India wanting to make Nepal into a state. It's
Absolutely.
not there. But down the line, the game is played. What was played in Maldives? The Indian military is here, it will take over Maldives. Crap. Sri Lanka, it was the same game. But that is the sort of nonsense that goes. And the people get carried away because you're made to believe that this is going to happen. Today, when he says not an Indian in uniform or without uniform, not an Indian soldier will remain, what is he trying to do? Trying to create that fear that India can take over, I'm saving you.
Absolutely.
Like hell, we're interested here.
Yeah. Sir, whatever we may say, there are two books. One says When China Rules the World, written by Michael Jakes. He gives all positives about China. If our viewers are interested, they can read. And there's a very interesting book called The Next 100 Years, which actually gives the logic why, because of geography, China can never become the world power. And that way, sir, we should be thankful that we are our geography, we are blessed. Our
Correct.
peninsular India that is jutting into Indian Ocean, we are literally, nobody can ignore us. Now we are awake. So I think now happy days are, future is going to be
Absolutely.
very happy. Sir, I will finish today's podcast with one comment from our regular viewer, Mr. Kumar Gopalan. Major Kakkar, sir, I am always interested in your program. Please do it regularly. Thanks. So we will, Mr. Gopalan, we will invite him more regularly. The way we are getting requests, I think we'll have to increase the frequency, God willing, very soon. We now we do thrice a week, maybe more. Sir, your last word on the broadcast before we close.
I think we need to understand that India is today a nation which is confident of itself. It is willing to send the right message. It is willing to state clearly to the world that despite our problems with China, we are not going to bend.
Yes.
And we are willing to say that we are developing our capability to handle China, and we are part of the anti China grouping. And I think such a strong, clear message cannot go from elsewhere but the way we have been doing it. We don't say it, but we've conveyed it.
Yes.
I think that
Sir,
is the best part of our diplomacy.
there was a last question I thought, sorry, because this has just come in, sir.
Uh-huh.
Rangunathan has asked, can we see in future having people-to-people connect with Taiwan at this speed? Your views on it?
We are already on people to people connect, and as the labor goes, you will find that increasing because families are going to move.
Yeah.
So you're going to find people moving in, and you're going to find the India Taiwan connect, people to people connect, going far, far more than what it is. You need something to kick it off. And I think this will give it a kick.
Yes. Sir, thank you very much for your valuable time. It was a very, very interesting take that you have on the entire thing. From one action of sending labor to Taiwan, we have conveyed it to the whole world that we are now confident and we can stand up to the challenges which are thrown at us. And like I said, we have a very, very bright future. On this note, sir, thank you very much and Jai Hind, sir.
Total pleasure. Total pleasure, sir. Thank you. It's a pleasure being on Strive.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll request
Not
the
at all.
viewers to please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.